Welcome to this explainer. Today, we're cutting right through the sensational headlines to look at the physical reality of the UK's extreme heat. Recently, we've all seen those alarming weather maps, especially the ones floating around from Londoner News about a potential 34-degree heat surge forecast for September. So, we are going to break down what the latest data from the Met Office and the UK Health Security Agency actually predicts, and what the lived reality of these temperatures really looks like on the ground.
Okay, let's just dive straight into this with a number that is frankly staggering. 62 degrees Celsius. And no, that's not a typo, and it isn't from some desert in the middle of nowhere. That temperature was recently recorded right on the ground in London. It's a shocking figure, right? It totally challenges our understanding of what a heat wave actually feels like when you're standing in the middle of a concrete metropolis. Which brings us to a really vital question. Just how dangerously hot is the UK actually getting? With that recent article from Londoner News highlighting maps that suggest another massive heat surge hitting 34 degrees, it is super easy to see why people are getting worried. But should we really panic over these long-range reports? Well, to answer that, and to cut through all the noise, let's first look at our recent past.
Part 1. The UK heat surge.
To properly map out what's coming, we really need to contextualize the totally unprecedented heat records we've already endured this summer. It has been a relentless season. We had our first heat wave way back in May, setting records right out of the date. Then, on June 28th, we hit a previous high of 38 degrees. Fast forward to mid-August, the Met Office had to issue an amber extreme heat warning, and that culminated on August 14th with a provisional 38.1 degrees Celsius recorded at Kew Gardens in West London. Just to put that into perspective, that reading made it the UK's fifth hottest day ever recorded.
Section 2. London's sizzling surface temperatures.
But here's the thing. Standard air temperature only tells half the story. Let's see how this builds when we examine the actual, concrete reality of our urban environments. Because the air around us is one thing, but the surfaces we walk on, that is a completely different beast. While the official air temperature in London might have been sitting around 35 degrees, the actual physical ground commuters were standing on at the Highbury and Islington Overground platform peaked at a blistering 62 degrees. You could literally fry an egg on it. It's this massive discrepancy that shows exactly how our urban infrastructure traps and intensifies the heat.
And it's not just the train stations. Thermal cameras captured the pavement on Regent Street hitting a sweltering 57 degrees. The granite paving stones in King's Cross Square, they reached 54 degrees. Even children's playgrounds in Islington hit highs of 53 degrees. The thermal footage actually showed the soles of pedestrian shoes glowing with heat. These surface temperatures radically shift how our bodies try to cope when we're out in the sun, making what's already a 35-degree day feel exponentially hotter.
Moving to Section 3, Transport and Infrastructure Chaos.
Now, unsurprisingly, this level of intense urban heat immediately cascades into widespread disruption across the entire city. When the environment itself is literally baking, the systems we rely on every single day start to buckle. This heat wave isn't just, uncomfortable. It is genuinely disruptive and dangerous. We've seen warnings of absolute chaos across the tube, rail, and bus networks. The heat has even threatened flights at Heathrow Airport and caused major power cuts because heat-sensitive equipment is just failing. On top of all that, drought conditions are spreading. Southern Water actually applied for their first drought order since 2006 to restrict non-essential water use. Oh, and staggeringly, over 1,000 wildfires have been recorded across England and Wales this year, which already matches last year's record total.
Section 4. What the Met Office says. So, with the country already pushed to its limits by these extremes, those weather maps predicting a 34 degrees sixth heat wave for September naturally caused a lot of alarm. So we need to look directly at the latest reporting from Londoner News and the official Met Office forecasts to see what's actually on the horizon. But first, a crucial point. We need to understand the actual definition of the term we're throwing around here. For London and the home counties to officially be in a heat wave, we have to hit a specific regional threshold. In this case, temperatures must reach or exceed 28 degrees Celsius for at least 3 consecutive days. It's not just about having one really hot afternoon.
And as Londoner News pointed out, while some long-range weather models splashed 34 degrees across all these sensationalist news headlines, the Met Office has actually cooled this signal down significantly. Their short-range forecast officially expects London to comfortably sit in the low to mid-20s, so around 21 to 25 degrees. That puts the capital well below that 28-degree official heatwave threshold we just talked about.
This really highlights the vast difference between a single, unconfirmed model run and a high-confidence forecast. The Met Office makes it super clear that while brief warm or hot spells could happen, a prolonged 34-degree September heat wave that actually crosses the official threshold is currently very unlikely. Instead, they're predicting a much more mixed picture. Think showers alternating with drier periods rather than a confirmed return to extreme heat.
Section 5, How to Stay Safe. However, the reality is that we've already dealt with multiple heat waves this year, and the UK Health Security Agency has released yellow, amber, and red alerts at various points. So we absolutely still need to know exactly how to protect ourselves when the mercury inevitably spikes again. The UK HSA has clear guidelines to prevent life-threatening conditions like heat exhaustion and heat stroke. They advise shutting out the heat by keeping your windows and sun-facing curtains closed during the day. You've got to hydrate heavily and frequently, even if you don't feel thirsty. And consider replacing your electrolytes if you're sweating a ton. Avoid the peak sun between 11 a.m. and 3 p.m., wear loose, breathable fabrics like cotton, and, this is a big one, turn off unnecessary heat-generating electronics like your TVs and laptops. They are simple, expert steps, but they are absolutely crucial.
Furthermore, if you are planning to cool off outdoors, you've got to be extremely cautious around open water. Look, I get it. The temptation to just jump right into a river or a lake is strong, but the deadly risk of cold water shock remains, even on the absolute hottest days of the year. Tragically, 15 open water deaths were recorded across the UK during the hot weather back in May alone.
So, if you do ever find yourself struggling in the water unexpectedly, you need to remember the RNLI's life-saving float to live technique. First, tilt your head back so your ears are fully submerged. Second, relax and focus solely on controlling your breathing to combat the sheer panic of cold water shock. Third, gently use your hands to help stay afloat. And finally, do not panic if your legs sink. Everyone floats differently. Just focus on floating until you can catch your breath and call out for help.
Ultimately, the UK HSA notes a pretty sobering reality. Due to long-term climate change trends, these extreme conditions are shifting from rare, freak anomalies to our expected future. In fact, they state that heat waves in England are projected to become more intense, last longer, and happen much more frequently. Which leaves us with a critical thought to ponder as we wrap up this explainer. As the data proves our environment is permanently shifting, and the Met Office continues to track these rising trends, how must we adapt our cities, our infrastructure, and just our daily lives? If a world where 62-degree pavements and overwhelmed transit systems could become the standard summer reality, what do we need to change today so we can survive tomorrow? Thanks so much for joining me to explore this data, and please, stay cool.